Hi guys, it's SkillJim. Today I wanted to take a quick look at every physical PSVR release so far as of July 2018. I'm hoping that this can become the definitive list of physical releases thus far. If you are like me and struggling to find which games have been released in physical media format, whether you are a collector yourself or just wanting to add a couple more games to your library without going down the digital route, I've put every release in alphabetical order to go through each game one by one. The versions of games I am listing here are as a person living in the UK with that kind of mindset. However, I have searched via Amazon.com to determine if these games have been released in the US also. The list also includes Japanese exclusives and, wherever possible, the Hong Kong Chinese versions, as these tend to include English menus and subtitles. So without further ado, here is every single PSVR release so far. Enjoy! Okay, first up is a game called A-Train D-Iku EXP. This is a Japanese exclusive, but there's not actually too much VR content on here, just a bit of a camera mode where you can see what you've built. Next is ATV Drift and Tricks. This game is the UK version, but it was also released in the US. Again, not too much VR content on this, mainly just a time trial mode. American Dream. This is a game that was released exclusively in the UK by a company called Perp Games, who released quite a lot of physical releases over here. Really cool company as well. They also brought over Apex Construct to physical media. This is currently exclusive to the UK, but according to Amazon.com, it's going to be released on July the 31st in America. Next we've got Arizona Sunshine, which is released in both UK and US. Next is our first Hong Kong release. This is Art Park, and although you can get this in Japan, if you want English subtitles, English menus, and also there's an English manual here, you'll want to pick up the Hong Kong version. Play Asia has this in stock, and you might also find it on eBay, or you might have a friend in Hong Kong, so that's where you can grab that one from. Batman Arkham VR. This is available in both UK and US, and just quickly, when I say UK, I'm pretty sure that would cover the whole of Europe as well, if you're from France, Spain, etc. So when I say UK, it probably covers you as well. Next up is Battlezone. This was released for both UK and US. Here is Bravo Team. This game was released in both the UK and the US, and this game's also bundled with the AIM controller, and I'm pretty sure you can also find that bundled with the actual PSVR headset itself. This is Croixler Sigma. It's a Japanese PSVR exclusive. It was released via Limited Run Games in the US, and even though it appeared like the VR mode would be included, which we were led to believe upon release, it actually doesn't include any VR content, and there isn't even a patch, so you're stuck with the Japanese release. Don't make the same mistake I made. Here is Dead or Alive Extreme 3 Fortune. It's the first game without a PSVR compatible bar at the top of the box there. This is the multi-language Korean version, and basically the VR mode was added later via free DLC, however this is no longer free. Next is Dirt Rally. This is the PSVR version of the game. There's two versions, make sure you get the one with the PSVR branding on the box. However, the VR mode is a DLC, and there's the code there, and that was released in the UK and the US. Don't Knock Twice, another game from Perp Games. This was released in the UK, and you can also get this in the US according to Amazon.com. Next is Doom VFR. This was released in the UK and the US. DRIVECLUB VR, another game that you can find in both UK and US. Make sure you get the VR version. Next up is Eagle Flight. It's a great game, and this was released in both the UK and the US as well. VALKYRIE. This was released in the UK and the US. Next up is Farpoint. This is another game that you can find bundled with a aim controller, and this was released in the UK and the US. Fruit Ninja VR, another game from Perp Games. This game, however, is, or at least I could only find it on UK websites, so I believe that that is a UK exclusive. Gran Turismo Sport, GT Sport for short. This is a US and a UK release. However, currently, at least, is very minimal VR. You can basically just do some time trial tracks on your own. Here They Lie. This was released in the UK and the US. Here is Hustle Kings VR, another game you can find in both UK and US territories. Here's another Japanese exclusive. This one is called GQ Powerful Puro Yakyu 2018. It's got a limited VR mode, but it's actually quite fun. It's not how you'd think, like first person baseball and swinging a move controller. It's played as you would play a normal game, using a DualShock 4 controller, and basically you are the camera looking down as you play. Here is Job Simulator, which as a recording is listed on both UK and US Amazon websites. However, it's out of stock on the UK and it's really expensive on the US, so make of that as you are. Here is Loading Human Chapter 1. This is released in both UK and US territories. Here's Mega Dimension Neptune VIIR. It's released in UK and US. Comes with a nice little sheet here with the controls on, and also a double-sided sleeve front cover. From Perp Games is Moss, great little game, which was released for the UK and the US as well. This is Motor Racer 4 in the UK and the US, and this company made ATV Drifting Tricks as well, and it's literally a copy and paste job. Check Amazon reviews if you don't believe me. Next is a game called No Heroes Allowed VR, and this is the Hong Kong English version, which you can see there. It says English for voice and subtitles. These Hong Kong versions or Japanese versions of games that I'm showing, these can be found on places like PlayAsia.com or eBay. Next is the Oasis VR Fun Pack, Oasis Games VR Fun Pack, and this is again another Hong Kong English release. Always double check that box down there if you can, and this features 4 games: Light Tracer, Dying Reborn, Pixel Gear and Weeping Doll. Nice little compilation of previously digitally only PSVR games. Nice little manual there as well. Controls for each game, English and Chinese. From Perp Games again, we've got Operation WARCADE, a nice little shooter that was released in both the UK and the US. Here is Paranormal Activity: The Lost Soul, and it appears to be UK only, so you probably only find that in Europe. Now next is a cool little item here. This is the Persona 3 and Persona 5 dancing games that are currently only in Japan, although they are bringing these over to the West, so keep your eyes peeled. I believe the release date of what will be translated into English is early next year, so quite a while to wait still. So you could pick this up now if you want. I played both games there, and they both play fine. There's quite a lot of Japanese text, but once you get to the menus you can navigate around, and the game from then on is virtually in English anyway, so it's up to you if you want to play these now or wait and pick them up later. The pack that I'm showing you is the collector's edition, which features 3, 5, and there is actually an included code for 4 which you can download. I'm not sure if that has got the VR mode as well, I'd have to check, but I think 4 was already a previously released game, just makes up the pack there. That comes with the soundtrack and a little manual there as well, a little book, art book. So next is Ping Pong. This was released in the UK and the US. Now, you may have just seen this as part of the Oasis Games collection, but for some reason Limited Run Games decided to release this as a standard release as well. So this is the same game, but on its own disc. And it actually says Oasis Games there, so they've split one of the games off here and made a standard release here, be it Limited Run Games. Cool little playing card there though, trading card. And semi-manual, if you can even call that a manual. It's nice to add it to the collection. The next limited run VR game was Volume, which should be releasing anytime soon. Now, you may know when you picked up your PSVR headset for the first time, there's a disc included, and in the UK at least, I'm not sure about all of Europe, but we got ours in a little cardboard sleeve here, which you can see. However, the Americans managed to get their own physical release, which is a much nicer display piece for the demo disc. And with the second revision of the headset is the included demo disc 2.0, which features a whole new array of various demos to play, and I believe this was only released as physical in the US again. Next up is PlayStation VR Worlds, which was released in the UK and the US. Here is Project Diva X, another unbranded game, PSVR game, so there's no branding at the top of the box there, as you'll notice. And this is because the VR mode was added again later. This is the US release of the game. It wasn't released in the UK, physically anyway. And the VR mode is just for the concert viewer. Next we've got Psychonauts in the Rhombus of Ruin. This was released in the UK and the US. Here is Riggs. Mechanised Combat League, and this was released in the UK and the US as well. Moving on, here is Radial G Racing Revolved, and this was released in the US and the UK as well by Pip Games there. Resident Evil 7. Now there's a couple of versions of this game now. This was the original version that was released when the game first launched. However, there's now a gold version that has all the DLC on the disc as well, so it might be worth picking that up. Next is Res Infinite, which was released by I Am 8-Bit, but unfortunately this seems to be no longer available, so you might have to look on eBay for this. And when this was released, they gave out a free premium sleeve because of all the delays with the game being released after the digital version. However, they made a bit of a mess up at the printing, and even though they claim that this is a manga style, it's obvious that it's just printed incorrectly, and it doesn't matter how you put it in the case, you can't really use that sleeve, otherwise it's always upside down. Next is Rick and Morty Virtual Reality. This is the collector's edition, which is only available in the US. You can pick up the actual standalone game in the UK, but the collector's edition that comes with this Funko Pop vinyl figure and also a double-sided poster, that's only part of the collector's edition, and that's only available in the US. Next is Rise of the Tomb Raider. This is the 20-year celebration version, which comes with a nice slip there and a bit of an art book built in with the disc. You may have noticed there isn't a PSVR brand on the box, and that's because the VR mode. Actually, I think the VR mode was added at the time, so there's no reason why it shouldn't have a branding, but it doesn't. But the VR mode isn't the main game, it's just a nice little side single player story, just exploring, I think it must be Laura's mansion. Next is Robinson the Journey. This was released in the UK and the US. Here's Senran Kagura Peach Beach Splash, released in the UK and the US. And don't worry, the VR mode is available with this game, even though it's not branded on the box, but it's just for the dressing room only, that VR mode. So not much going on there. Here's Star Trek Bridge Crew, which was released in the UK and the US. A couple of nice little pamphlets included in this physical release. Next up is Star Wars Battlefront, the Ultimate Edition, which is the re-release that includes all the DLC on the disc, and it also includes the VR mission, which is a nice way of obtaining that mode. It's just nice to have the box that's got the actual PSVR brand compared to the regular edition. If you're collecting for PSVR, you might as well. Here's Starblood Arena, which was released for the UK and the US. Here is Summer Lesson, Hikari Miyamoto edition. This is the Hong Kong English subtitled version. There is actually a 3-pack that's available in Japan with 3 girls. And that pack is coming to the Hong Kong English release as well later in the year, so keep an eye out for that. Next is Super Stardust Ultra VR. This was released in the UK and the US. is SUPERHOT VR, another game that is available in the UK and the US as well. Syndrome. This is currently EU only, and the VR mode is limited to say the least. It's just a bit of a survival. I think the survival mode is in VR. And same again with Tekken 7. The actual VR mode is non-existent virtually, even though there is the PSVR branding on the box. I believe the mode is just a training where you're just fighting or practicing moves. You can just view the character in VR. This is a double pack of the Assembly and Perfect. However, as you'll see in a sec when we get inside the box, there's only one disc, and the disc is for the Assembly. Perfect is actually a download code, which is a little bit disappointing. And this is actually a UK exclusive from Perp Games, who seem to like to keep things UK exclusive. Next up is The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim VR. This is available in the UK and the US. It was nice to see a little something inside the box. Doesn't have to be a manual, just a couple of little pamphlets like that. Keeps us happy. Next is The Impatient, which is available in the UK and the US. This is The Invisible Hours, which is a US only exclusive. I think it was only available from GameStop as well. I'm not sure if that's still the case, but quite a difficult one to get hold of, that. Next is Theseus, a game from Perp Games, and this is also a UK exclusive. And same again with Time Carnage. Again, Perp Games seem to just do UK releases at the moment, so a bit unfortunate for anyone collecting in the US. You have to import that. Next is Touhou Kabuto Burst Battle. This is available in the UK and the US, but the VR mode is actually quite limited. It actually took me quite a while to even find it. Next up is Trackmania Turbo. Now, this was re-released with the PSVR branding, only in the UK, I believe. So keep an eye out for that version of the game if you're a collector. The VR mode is quite fun, just limited. It's not the full game, but still very, very fun to play. Next is the Ultimate VR Collection, another title from Perp Games there. A compilation of 5 VR games that were previously only digital only. This was released in the EU only as well, UK. It comes with Bandit 6, Dext, Corix, Unearthing Mars and Fated. Next we've got Until Dawn, Rush of Blood. This was released in the UK and US. One of the must-have games on the system now. Next is VR Cards. This was released by Perp Games, but you can actually get this in the UK and the US. At least it's on Amazon.com. Werewolves Within. This is actually a US only release, so if you're from the UK it's quite difficult to pick up, but you can find it on eBay, or you can probably actually find it on Amazon.com these days. And finally, we've got the Wipeout Omega Collection. This was released in the UK and the US, and this is just the PS1 looking slipcase version. There's no PSVR branding on this because the VR mode was only just released actually a couple of months back. It's actually an incredible experience, really good VR mode included with Wipeout Omega Collection. And there we have it, guys. That is every single PSVR physical release so far as of July 2018. I've counted 70 games there. If there's any games that you didn't see included that you own or you've seen that have either the PSVR branding on the case or it's a game that has a VR mode included, then please do let me know in the comments section below. Thank you very much for watching, guys. See you next time.